Good evening. The Grants Power Golf Team has expressed concerns over the city's debate on the Coyote Golf Course. We are concerned because a few people are not in favor of the golf course. It will become difficult for many citizens in our community to enjoy a physical activity. We are also concerned that funding to the golf course may be cut disproportionately to other city parks, athletic grounds, and endeavors. Thus, it would leave us with poor practice and tournament facilities. The council may lease it to a third party, who could then charge the schools to practice and make it unaffordable for the year-round nature of the sport for the students. We and many of our friends enjoy playing golf with our parents, grandparents, and other relatives long after we leave high school. If the course becomes too prohibitive in cost, we will have lost one of the few community activities, if not the only multi-generational sport activity in the region. We may have future job losses in the field of sports. Golf has provided expertise to many past students who are currently employed in golf-related fields. Bob Murdoch's and Richard Griffith's children, to name a few. We thank you for this opportunity to address our concerns.
My turn now. Just so you know, no one on this council has ever said anything about closing the golf course. No one on this council has any intention of closing the golf course. That is coming from golfers at the golf course, guys. This council is trying to make the golf course a little more responsible to the citizens of Grants. By doing that, we cut the golf course, that's already $45,000 we've saved the citizens of Grants. Okay? We're not about, and believe me, when an RFP comes out, if it's on there that they want to charge the high school, guess what? They don't get the RFP, guys. We're not about to let anything happen to the golf course that is going to hinder Grants High School students. Okay? All we're trying to do, and I cannot say this loud enough, guys, I'm so sick and tired of seeing the letters in the paper about us wanting to close the golf course. Michael, do you want to close the golf course?
Absolutely.
Eddie, do you want to close the golf course?
No way.
How about you, Ruben? Do you want to close the golf course?
No.
Mike Quintana, do you want to close the golf course?
Absolutely not.
Mayor Hicks does not want to close the golf course. I cannot make that any clearer, guys. All we're trying to do is make the golf course a little bit more responsible to the citizens of Grants that pay for it every day. Okay? Now the fees might go up a little bit, but it's not going to go up 30, 40 bucks like in Albuquerque. It might go up $5 for 9 holes, something like that. No, guys, we're not going to close the diamond that we have in our town. That would be idiotic of us, guys. All we're trying to do is get the best bang for our buck for the citizens of Grants. And personally, guys, I play golf twice a year when the big wigs from Washington are coming in. Other than that, I don't go chase the white ball around. I admire those of you that can. My shots tend to go, okay? And the putts are way short or way long. Okay? Anything else you guys want to say to us tonight?
In expressing what they expressed to us.
You mentioned, and that's fine.
Okay, but I guess what we're looking at is that we have people that play on city grounds, baseball, we have soccer, we're doing these different things, and we're looking at it, and you've affirmed what we were concerned about, which was, are we going to eventually charge the golf team to play the students who have the nature of it all year round?
No.
Because of, and that, that statement, puts aside those fears that we have. And I
Guys,
appreciate
believe me,
you.
as the mayor of your town and a supporter of Grants High School athletics all the way, okay?
Right.
We are not going to hinder you guys in any way, shape, or form.
And that was the only concern that really came up. And the
Right.
idea that to speak their mind.
You bet you, and you guys are welcome
to
here.
say,
And you know
what
what?
about the multi-generational activity?
If you guys as golfers have ideas for us, how to improve it and save money, we're open for suggestions, guys, believe me.
Well,
We are not. The only person here
suggestion-
that knows anything about a golf course is sitting down there, and his name's Paul Pena.
One of the
Okay.
suggestions that was made several years ago, just in jest, which is, let's put a trail around the golf course. And that is a biking trail, a jogging trail, and a fitness center trail where you have stations of physical fitnesses like they do in many cities, where they might be doing a river run, or they might be doing it from one park to another park. But we could do it out there. And we could then also put tennis courts out there that are city-owned for the tennis court. That would increase the endeavors in terms of the people who would go and eat at the snack bar. We would increase the funds for those. But these suggestions sometimes get lost in the melee of who to report it to, who to talk to, and things like that. I'm sure that many people have great suggestions how to really develop that into a community center of activity where we could attract people off of I-40 to drive in and say, oh, I can stop after driving for 3 hours and then come back and do some jogging. Or my bike is tied to the bike rack and back, and I can go right around that area there and be very comfortable and think that it's safe because there's people out there. And I'm not out in the street of a town that I don't know. But those are some of the suggestions that I've heard made in the past.
And we appreciate those.
I think Paul,
and I'm sure Paul's got something to say now because we do have the RFP out. I don't know what we've gotten back yet, but guys, believe me, and I do not want to discuss this no more. The RFP's coming. We're just trying to do what's right for the citizens of Grants. Believe me, after we get this and we get Jack there onto the county commission, and we get the new county commission seated, one of the things that I plan to do, so get ready, Jack, is I'm going to go in front of their meeting, which I don't regularly do, and I'm going to ask them to split the cost of the loss with us and give us $200,000 a year for that operation. Because right now, the only people that are paying for it are the people that live in the city limit of Grants. And we get more people playing from out in the county than we do from the city, believe it or not. And I mean, and the rumors are coming from the golfers, guys. They're not coming from up here. You've heard us, okay? On the record, each one of us, we support the Grants golf team. We're not going to let anything happen out there. But we are going to get the biggest bang we can for our buck out there. Go ahead, Paul.
That's an excellent idea, and we just talked about this this past week, Gary and I, because one of the things that we're going to be doing out at the golf course, we're going to be taking out the cart paths, just the paved parts of the cart paths. The golf course is now mature enough that it can handle the traffic out there, and so one of the things we talked about is building a road around the golf course. So that idea you had with that is excellent, and I think it can go along with what we're trying to do.
I mean, there's lots of things, I came one time to the city council and talked about, let's expand some of our streets and put it so that we can have bicycle and golf cart traffic over there, so that it becomes more attractive to retirees in the community. Well, if you had golf cart traffic lanes, then people could drive out there and with a low powered vehicle and go out there and jog. They could ride their bikes out there and play tennis. They could do all these various things. I know that it's not something that we could do overnight, but it's things that we could plan long range to attract more people who are professionals to come and join us in this town. And also the companies that are already here could be attracting the quality workers that they want by having facilities for the individuals that we care about, which are our citizens. And those are the things.
We're with you on this.
Okay.
And all you golfers there, smile. Yeah. Especially you, Christina. Come on.
But we were just trying to align their fears so that it wouldn't carry on into our tournaments. And
yes, guys, we don't need you to be worried about stuff like that. Think about making hole-in-ones. Picture it happening. Okay?
Yep.
Come on, and then when you guys go out on the PGA and you make all that money, you can come back and pay for a back around it or something, okay?
Well, thank you, Mayor.
You bet you. And and like I said, guys, if you have any ideas, just like your coach brought up now, please bring them to us. We don't claim to know everything, okay?
Mayor, I have a comment.
Go ahead, Michael.
Paul, I would like to see our signage upgraded for giving a little bit more positive guidance for our tourists, people that don't know. If you're coming in off of Mexico 117, that needs to be upgraded. Plus, along Sacaleras, along Santa Fe Avenue, people are always asking, where's the golf course? And the signage that we have is either fading, it's old, and we have nothing that's really been kind of renewed in that way, shape, or form.
We need to upgrade some signs on the golf course also, so we'll do it at the same time.
Anybody else? Anybody else got anything?
I'd just like to thank all of you for coming.
You bet you.
Coach and I have been talking at school. I've been trying to assure him, and he said that they're going to come. And I said,
you guys are welcome to come anytime, guys. We are your government, okay? Someday you guys will be sitting up here in these chairs.
No worries, you guys got our back.
Okay.
Thank you.
We got your back, should I say.
Okay, next, Michael Fields.
Hello, thank you for letting me come up here today. It was just ironic that I sat next to Jamie this evening and that Eileen is here and was explaining economic development because that's what brought me here. So my name is Michael Fields. Many of you probably don't know me. We just moved here a year ago. But I work at the college. I'm the business professor and program manager. And in that role, I've kind of joined several economic development committees throughout the community. Some are small and local, and I'm often with Eileen and Tessa, Bianca, and Tammy is right there as well. So I'm kind of here to represent many of these committees, and it just happens to be that all these committees have identified beautification of our wonderful small city here, that it needs to be addressed because it's hard to attract businesses and to keep them here. You know, once they send somebody out to look at a location, it's kind of, well, maybe it doesn't look the most attractive, so it's hard to get them to decide to come here. I have met with our city manager, Laura, and I know she's already hard at work. You already mentioned that the women's prison are going to come out and help with the flower beds. I've also met with Judge Larson. She is on board to help refer people. And I also spoke with Claire McDaniel at the district attorney's office. And everybody's on board to kind of maybe rejuvenate the committee here and get together volunteers through community service to kind of have a monthly or a bi-monthly program to go around, pick up trash, pull weeds, do some different things like that. And I just wanted to make the announcement to the city and that we're looking to collaborate with you guys to help out. Actually, Claire at the district attorney's office said that her office could most likely provide supervision for anyone that we could use. So I know that was one of the items that you and I discussed, Laura. So just kind of throwing it out there that it's something we're looking to do, and maybe we could set up some times to meet and discuss this further of how we can figure out the rest of the logistics, when, where, finances, that sort of thing. But just kind of wanted to put it on everybody's radar that it would help us with economic development and just really help sense of pride in our community. So, and I also want to apologize. I got to go catch my son's flag football game, so I'm going to be taking off real shortly. So.
Good luck to your sons. You guys got anything for Mike real quick? Thank you.
No, welcome to the community.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
On that note, is there anyone in the public out there in the audience who would like to comment on our charter compliance?
I'd like to comment on the charter compliance. I believe that our city is now in compliance with our charter.
Thank you very much.
I've got a comment also. Now that we all read the news in the paper about our district judge, maybe we can move forward on that two-position on our charter.
I was going to discuss that with Denise tomorrow and see if I can't get in there and talk with them, because there's a couple of cases that we've had pending for 7 years that we really need answered before it does resolve this.
Yeah, well,
Because if you run bad, we have to go back and start at day one again, all over again. Yes, so that's one of them. Yeah, that's already on the radar, okay, so that'll work. On that note, I'm going to step away from the agenda for just a minute. Chief Vanderberg, would you please come up here real quick? I'd like all of you out there to meet Greg Vanderberg. He is our new chief of police. He is going to take this town forward for the future, without a doubt. And we're moving forward very quickly now. I'd like to say that my leadership team is now in place, guys. So we're going to see what we can do, okay? And I promise I can't fix what's already happened, but I can fix everything out in front of us. And I promise you, with the help of Greg, Laura, Paul, Denise, Tammy, we will move this city forward. Thank you, Greg. Ordinance 14206 updates on the uniform traffic code. This is basically the, number 2, sorry, regular city council minutes. Sorry about that, guys. Have you had a chance to review the regular city council minutes?
I'll make a motion to go ahead and accept regular city council minutes for 8/24/2014.
Second?
Second, Counselor Sandoval,
Yes.
Counselor Quintana,
Yes.
Counselor Lewis,
Yes.
Counselor Dickens.
Yes.
Now the uniform code ordinance. And what it is, guys, is basically updating with everything that was changed to state, texting, all that good stuff, right?
Right, we're bringing it into
Applies to
compliance.
texting?
Everything that was changed to state. It's updating our uniform code to jive with the states.
Okay, how about talking on cell phones?
That's not against the law of the state.
It's in here.
Okay, it's,
I read it,
It's
I
just
wa-
texting.
I wanted to make sure it was just texting.
no, all it does is it just updates us with the state laws. And on that note, I'll
Okay, I make a motion, we accept ordinance 14-1206, 2014 update.
Counselor Quintana.
Second.
Okay, Counselor Quintana.
Yes.
Counselor Sandoval.
Yes.
Counselor Dickens.
Yes.
Counselor Lewis.
Yes.
Jim, are you gonna do this one? Is Eric gonna do this one? Utility repairs, change order discussions? Paul, are you gonna do this one?
Go ahead, I'll back you up as needed.
Come on up and talk to us, Jim. You know, guys, this one here, if I'm correct, this is about, after we've dug up the streets and we're repairing it, it takes a little bit more money than what we've done, okay? This last one, the change order is what, $14,000? $19,000. I can't see stopping work, guys, when we don't know what the problem is until we dig it up, okay? And, I mean, we can guess, we can do our best at guesstimating, but we really don't know, especially in this older part of town, P.O. Street, Acoma Street, everything on this Loma where there's nothing but malpies. So, I think we need to find up with a way, you know what I mean? Now, obviously, if it comes up to where it's twice the project, then we can stop and look at it, okay? But I think Paul should be able to make that call. As our Public Utilities Works Director, I mean, anything that is in $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 that he's looked at and he determines that it's good, I think that we should, because to shut down work for $14,000, $15,000 until we can get back in here to say yes or no on a change order really doesn't make any sense to me, okay? And all we're gonna do is hinder and slow down what we're doing. We're paying that man $65,000 a year. I think he can make those decisions for us, guys.
What's our cap?
I
What's gonna be
think-
our cap then?
I
Okay.
think that the engineer that's responsible for it should be responsible for any change order, because they could actually do test holes in the areas that they're gonna be working and find out what's down there before it all starts.
Okay,
That's not what
how
happened.
much will the difference be in the test holes and the overcost?
Exactly. Go ahead, Eric. Throw it at
Let
us.
me add that too. So the emergency projects, they're not typical design projects. We
Exactly.
order our geotechnical services, our sub-utility engineering to locate the utilities. A full topographic survey wasn't done. So these type of projects are more conducive to change orders. As opposed to finding out everything that's underneath ground and doing a full design. And we didn't do that with it.
And we're not
We
gonna,
discussed
Eric.
that, yeah,
We're
because
not
it's an
gonna.
emergency.
Because,
type
yes,
project.
and
We needed
it's
to
like
move forward on
Acoma
that.
Street now is all collapsed, Johnson Street is collapsed, High Street is collapsed. We've got so many of these sewer lines that are collapsed, therefore why we're trying to hold the golf course more accountable, and get more money out of them. But that's another story. I believe paying Paul's that kind of money, Paul can make that shot. He can make that call for us, guys. And I agree, what's the cap gonna be, Michael? I would say $35,000. That would be my suggestion. I mean, there's no other way to do this, guys. We cannot stop this emergency work. Right now, we're sucking the sewer at Acoma Street, what, Wayne, 3 times a week, 4 times a week?
4 times a week.
Acoma and Johnson, 4 times a week, guys. And we've been doing it for how long now, Wayne? 3 months, 4 months, 5 months? Okay? To those poor people that live in these areas, guys, that's insane. And then have to stop and wait 2 weeks or whatever it is until we get here to approve a change order for $14,000, $15,000, $19,000, and then have them go back to work after 2 weeks of dead time. Makes no sense.
Right, and we gotta remember too that all of our infrastructures are very old.
Yes.
So.
Especially in
change
this
order-
end of town.
Change orders are gonna happen. We don't know what's under there until we dig it up.
That's right.
So that's where we ended up with change orders, well, there was nothing but change orders, remember? Then we had to stop this change order thing.
That was
nobody
in-
accountable except ourselves.
Right.
We're the only
And
ones
that's how they
accountable
commit to
for
this
this change
project,
order.
Councilor Sandoval, we are held responsible, and we vet those change order process, and we give our opinion before we hand it off to the city. And the city makes that final call to direct the engineer, or direct the contractor, excuse me. But in this case, I mean, it wasn't one change order that was 19,000, it was several.
Several.
The water line encroached our project, and the contractor hit it, so we had additional, our scope was creeping at that point. And we felt that, it didn't behoove us to stop the project at that time, we just moved forward, and that's why we're here tonight.
Well, what I mean is, it starts somewhere and then it snowballs to change order after change order after change order, and nobody says anything.
Well, that's what we're gonna put Paul
Right.
in charge of.
Yeah, there's Paul's out there.
Well,
watching.
that's just eliminating the change order through the council. That's just
Are we
giving-
approving a change order, or are we approving all?
This right now, no, right now, we're doing it to, go ahead, Paul.
Yeah, let me comment just a second. You know, I agree with you, Mayor, but in our procurement procedures, anything over 15,000 must be approved by the city. So I suggest that in the future, this is like one of our first emergency projects that we've handled. And so we've talked about different ways of doing this, and we're talking about it with accounting, with Tammy and accounting, and we're coming up with a different process. What we may do on these emergency situations is come up with, okay, this is the cost, put in some additional monies in there, and so when we bring it before the council, say, okay, this is what the cost is, we're putting in these additional monies for possible change orders and things, and then that way that money's there. If we have to use that money, we can come back and notify the council after the fact, and that way we can get these projects done quickly if you agree with that.
You know, and we gotta remember too that messing with raw sewage, water, it's a very necessary for our community, and for us to put this on hold, I mean, look at Wayne's pumping that 4 times a week, that's a little ridiculous, so we need to move on that.
No one's saying to put it on hold, we're just saying.
Sure, we don't live there, I feel bad for the people that do live there, you know, so we've gotta do something when we do have, work going on and we find out that we've got issues that, I mean, our infrastructures are very, very old in our town, and we really don't know nothing until we dig that up.
And one of the things that we're doing right now is Wayne and Edward are looking for a camera setup for us so that we can go in and start identifying these projects and see what we have ahead of us so we don't get into these emergency situations.
Tammy, is there anything in the procurement code that lets us slide when we have emergency situations like we've got? And then they still bring it to us for our approval? I want you checking all of them.
Yeah.
Okay?
As long as they understand.
You bet you, baby.
Yeah, we've got some big questions right now on the next one.
Okay, and on that note, I will entertain a motion. What was the change order? How much is it, Jim?
It's 19,000, I have it in my presentation on.
Let's get it out here because we're fixing to do this. That's what this is on the agenda. Let's get that number here so we can do it.
Mayor,
Yeah.
the agenda says discussion.
So we can,
There's not.
We can't make motion on a discussion
Facility
item.
repairs, change order discussion. Make sure you got it on the next month's agenda and we'll take care of it.
That's not gonna stop the work.
No.
We can't stop the work.
No, it's not gonna stop the work. Well,
No,
it's done.
the
We're
project's
done with Beale
complete.
Street, right?
Yes, sir.
projects
And now we're moving to
Okay, so
Act.
is the total 20,000, like it was below, not 19?
Right, so 19 was before taxes. So that includes New Mexico groceries.
Okay, just for next one. Okay. Next one, on-call engineering services. Is this one yours, Paul? Is it yours, Laura? Is it Jim's?
Oh, excellent.
Okay, we went through the RFP process for our on-call engineering, and through the process, there was 6 companies that put in for on-call engineering. We interviewed 4 companies, and the recommendation from the committee is that WH Pacific be our on-call engineering company for the next 4 years.
I'm good with it. I'll entertain a motion as to such.
I make a motion that we approve WH Pacific for on-call engineering. A little change, name's not Dixon.
Any Dickens? Okay.
With an emphasis on change orders. They have to have something on change orders. We haven't experienced a change orders with previous engineers.
Did I get a second?
I'll second.
Counselor Quintana?
Yes.
Counselor Sandoval?
Yes.
Counselor Dickens?
Yes.
Counselor Lewis?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like to have WH Pacific come up, Mike.
Hey, I'm in here.
Malloy. Mike Malloy will be our contact with WH Pacific. He's, I'm not sure exactly your position, President?
No, I'm not the president, but thank you for the promotion. I'm the Southwest Director of Transportation. But Mayor, Council, we really appreciate this opportunity to provide engineering support to the city. Look forward to meeting and working with all of you in the future on engineering projects.
Thank you. Are you going to have an office in Brent?
We hadn't planned on it.
I mean, we had required that over the last year.
We discussed that today, and we're going to be discussing that further. And things.
We do have a lot of work for you, and we'd like your grocery receipts taxes to come to us and not to somebody
I
else.
love to be here.
Okay.
Someone could rent you a space somewhere, you know, get the taxes that way. You know, because we did require these last engineer to have an office.
That's what I understood.
Yeah. And the main reason was is the taxes.
I've been involved in several villages where that was a requirement. The last one was up in Cuesta, and we set up an office there so that that's not a problem if in fact it's a requirement.
Thank you very much. Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Sodium hydrochloride, number 5. Number 6.
Fault paving remediation. The topography on Acoma Street is super steep. So coming up from Santa Fe Avenue at 7.5, in between Peel and Johnson, it gets as steep as 12.5%. The depths are 10 to 12 feet to the existing sanitary line. So our team felt that it was necessary to order a full topographic survey so we can cut a profile and effectively design a system, not just replacing kind, and maybe eliminate the need for going so deep. And that's exactly what we did. We brought that line up 3 to 4 feet, and there's no need to put it at that depth at 12 feet. So our manholes are going to come up, and we're saving the cost from there.
And it's not going to screw
With the slopes on them, we're all
Low?
Yes, sir. So, yeah, if you get too steep,
yeah,
then
the
you have
solid
the
stay and the
solids-
water's run.
Yeah, you have
Okay.
separation there. So tonight, we presented a professional design service task order to include engineering design, full topographic survey, the preparation of final construction plans, specification, and the engineer's estimate. Within that design, we will also prepare the lighting documents, do a bid evaluation, and make an award recommendation. And from there, this task order includes construction management service. We will review the material submittals, hold a pre-construction meeting, and one progress construction meeting. We'll have a construction observer out there every day for 6 hours. And at the close of project, we will review paid applications, change order requests, and provide a final acceptance letter. So at this time, I'm asking council's consideration to award a professional design service task order in the amount of $12,987.25. That's excluding tax. And I just matched that to Jim's letter that you provided that y'all are looking at now. I know you'd like to see the tax, but.
Questions?
I think we're going to run into the same problem there with change orders because we've already had an experience with Johnson Street on that intersection where that line is also collapsing. And when you actually open that up, you're going to find that out. Because we've already had to replace the line on Johnson at that intersection. And Wayne would be able to tell us more about that?
So on that note, make sure that when we do this, Paul, throw in the extra money, that we can handle that change order.
Yeah, because we
Okay?
already know
Because we know that
Johnson.
Johnson Street has just collapsed. As a matter of fact, we had it on the CDGB grant, but we chose to move that.
No, but
To
we've
Radio
already
Street.
replaced
Okay.
a section of that through
12 feet.
OMI because of that
12 feet we
collapse.
changed.
Right,
Yes.
right. And the reason for lifting that whole system up is to avoid some of that rock removal. On Peel Street, we thought we could go in there and remove the line in the same trench, the same grade, but what actually happened when they installed it back in the 60s or 50s, it came up on a rock profile, or an area that had rock. It went right above it on the gravity sewer system. So that's where that rock removal happened. So by us lifting it up, we're eliminating
We
the
get the same
risk.
thing on Beacon Street, all of them. That's just.
Well,
the
that's what
nature
you're gonna
of
run
it.
into with Johnson, that intersection of
Okay.
Ackerman and Johnson, so you gotta really look at that.
Yes,
Because
sir.
Wayne would be able to tell you more on that.
Definitely.
Anything else? On that note, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to accept $12,987.25 plus tax plus override.
I'll second.
Counselor Quintana?
Yes.
Counselor Sandro? Yes. Counselor Dickens?
Yes.
Counselor Lewis?
Yes.
College Heights bid award. It says bid award, guys. We're not awarding a bid tonight because it's not ready yet. Go ahead, Eric.
No,
Go
this is
ahead.
just a simple project update. Per your direction, our team has designed or started the design of a system that would pass the 50-year storm underneath and carry the 100-year over. So what we did is a cost analysis of 3 different conveyance structures, if you will. A battery of culverts, a concrete box system, and a pre-manufactured bridge with girders and everything, and a full deck similar to Nimitz. It turns out we can do that full precast bridge with the allotted funding, the 430 that you guys agreed upon. So that's the direction we're heading. It's precast from Contact Cortez Express, 60 feet in span, 36 feet in width, so we'll have 2 pedestrian sidewalks on both sides of the lanes. Our construction plans are at 90% right now. Our geotechnical service they're out there right now, and our structural design is also in process.
I asked you before we started this meeting, how far out are we on a bid? I asked 2 weeks. You said no, that'll be our next meeting.
Yes, no, not our next meeting. My next slide kind of shows
Go ahead.
well, this one, so that's kind of what we'll expect to see. I mean, this is a bridge that's in system, so we'll have a concrete slope blankets and a apron or cut-off walls and everything.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be
Now,
a spanning bridge.
Yes, sir.
Are you gonna, now on those slope blankets, are you gonna go ahead and extend those to fill the entire portion of the width of the arroyo itself?
Right, Councilor Quintana, what's going to happen is we have a certain design distance upstream and downstream that will protect the erosion.
Right.
And we'll extend those slope, it's all the way to the top of the slope.
Okay.
And probably, 5 foot on top of that.
Okay.
So, I mean, our design isn't final, but that's the direction we're headed. Our aprons will also include cut-off walls for scour calculation. The next slide will show or describe, depict our schedule. So we're anticipating construction plans completed by October 3rd. September 24th, the geotech will be completed, structural design October 3rd, advertisement for bid October 5th, closing October 24th, and construction to begin on November 10th.
And when are you gonna propose to complete it?
Complete, so that'll be a 90-day project.
Question. Traffic in and out of there while we're building it.
We've discussed this, and I believe we're gonna have to provide an ulterior route through the channel, either upstream or downstream. It's just too narrow to build half of it and have traffic on the other side.
Okay.
And I mean, this is a perfect construction period. We're gonna be outside of the monsoon, so
So we'll be able to we'll be ready to bid boards on the first one in October or the last one in October.
The bid close date is October 24th.
So then, yeah, it'll be our last meeting in October.
And there is a walking, there is a sidewalk associated with the bridge, right?
Yes, sir.
For bikes and.
Yes, pedestrian access.
You're gonna have the alternate route downstream, correct?
That's to be determined. So I'll have to get with my design team and I'll provide an answer next council meeting where we're gonna have that alternative route.
I know I brought this up before, have you ever thought about the old road going around the college, the gas line road?
That would be Mr. Reedy's property out there. You'd have to talk to him about coming across there, wouldn't we, Matt? Good try though, Eddie. Go ahead, Eric.
I believe that's
Eric.
it.
And that ain't gonna happen.
Eric, we had talked about putting in for funding through the Water Trust Board. Is that still a possibility with this project?
Definitely. So Mario, he's trying to get that on the next flood council board meeting. So we're gonna make a presentation of our full estimate, project plans and everything. Preliminary project plans, to get them on.
Now, that one there is for Roosevelt, right?
No, that'll be for
The Water Trust Board funds was for Roosevelt and for the ditch project with the BLM land.
well, this year it's been undetermined. I made an initial
No,
presentation.
me and Bonnie already discussed this, so don't change it, okay? What we're
Okay.
applying for is for the ditch project with the BLM that Forest Service didn't let us do. We are now in the process of doing with the BLM. That's what we're doing the Water Trust Fund Board money for, so that we can replace the Roosevelt Bridge as we do the ditch north of Roosevelt,
Okay.
okay?
So we do have the 108,000 cubic feet secured right now.
He's talking about the North Hills Bridges is Water Trust Board for that one. No, we're paying for this one all
On the
ourselves.
college bridge?
Right, we have 108,000.
Yeah, the rest of it's coming out of us.
Yes, sir.
We got it covered.
Okay. Any other further questions?
Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Resolution 1469, the ICP. Guys, as you look at the ICP, the wastewater treatment plant is number 1. First, second, Roosevelt Utilities is number 2. The Learning Center is number 3. Broadband is number 4. And the storage ponds for our effluent use is number 5. We discussed this last time. I believe that's the order we wanted. And on that note, I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution 1469.
Make a motion to approve resolution 1469.
I'll second.
Second, Councilor Quintana.
Yes.
Councilor Sandoval.
Yes.
Councilor Dickens.
Yes.
And Councilor Lewis.
Yes.
Thank you, Jim. Marty, you're up, baby.
Mayor, Council, City Manager, how are you this evening? What we've got this evening is a correction to a new resolution, number 14-1466. The correction needs to be made is the address to 824 Melvin. Everything else remains the same.
Okay, yeah.
I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we accept the correction to the main resolution on the change of address.
1466, second. Second. Councilor Quintana.
Yes.
Councilor Sandoval.
Yes.
Councilor Dickens.
Yes.
Councilor Lewis.
Yes.
Dumpster fees.
Thank you. I've got these. It's just a quick highlight of the associate fees and what we've done and what we anticipate the fees to be. When you open it, you'll see the flyer that we sent out to the impacted area. What we've done is we've taken section 30, and we've broken it down into subdivisions. There's 19 subdivisions within that section. The first subdivision to be addressed is the Grants Mobile Home Park, which was actually a huge success. It was kind of confusing to get started because the funding was questionable. So we were fortunate that Jim went ahead and let us have one of the 34 dumpsters that they get every year for free from Waste Management. They let us go ahead and use one of those. So we placed that. So that was actually at no cost to the city, but there was, I believe there was 1.78 tons that were of refuse that was disposed in there, hauled off. There were 14 tires that were included in that. After we took that out, the neighbors or the area requested that we try to place another dumpster because it was just a great demand for it. So there was a communication breakdown. The dumpster ended up being placed out there without being able to locate the funding for it, unfortunately. But so that dumpster we dumped 2.53 tons out of. That was total cost to the city of $464.61. That's excluding the $457.86 that would have been included if we had paid for the first dumpster. So actually, that first location cost us, fortunately, $464.61. That would include the flyers, that would include the dumpster, the refuse, and any administrative or associated operational cost, which would be about 6 hours of code enforcement time out there, passing out flyers, checking the dumpster, throwing stuff in that would need to be thrown in, picking up tires, stuff like that. So what we've done, I felt like it was a real huge success. Everybody within that area, that subdivision, was very, very much appreciative. I'm surprised some of them aren't here this evening because they wanted to express that to you folks. But so that was a huge express. So this is a good idea so far. Providing we can find the budget to continue this program with.
On that note, Tammy, on these dumpsters, on our free ones, is there some type of grant that would stop us from using one of these, say, every other week throughout the city, placing them wherever we want to place them, in whichever neighborhoods need help, and collecting them one at a time, two at a time, whatever it is? We got 32, is that what you said, 32?
34 total.
34 free ones? Or is there some type of grant or something that's put on us that we have to use them? Come on up here, I can't hear you, girl, please. Set us straight. Make sure we don't break no laws.
Some of those were used for the fire and ice already.
Okay,
And then the rest are used for the clean the scene twice a year, now in October and then again in like March. And that's part of a grant.
So that is part of the clean the scene
We
is part
do
of the
that
grant?
cleanup, yeah,
And then
through the
clean the-
state.
Okay, and that grant is to pay for our employees, not for these dumpsters, right?
Right, that is for like, we use that for the kids, the baseball teams and that to pick up trash. So
give them
that's
money.
why we use the free ones for that, so that it doesn't take away from the kids.
Okay,
But we do that twice a year.
yeah. And do we use all 34 dumpsters when we do that?
Most of them, I think, is for the fire and ice, really.
Most of them for the rally?
Because like I said, it's only twice a year that they put out those dumpsters for cleaning the scene.
Give us a little while to think about that and look at it, Marty. We'll come up with something to pay for this.
Yeah, because we've been looking at this for 2.5
Yes, we
years.
have. We'll come up with a way to pay for this, okay? Keep going.
Right now, we're at about like 22% of what we put aside for like demolition. We're just trying to stay around 25%.
Yeah.
And it would hit in that same area, so lower.
And that would probably be the main place we have to take the hit on the dumpsters.
Right, because it's refuse.
Okay, we might have to do that. Just take it out of the demolition fee,
Yeah, I
okay?
think you just have to put an amount of how many you're wanting to do, because like in 2 days, you did $1,000, so what's your cap gonna be?
Yeah, because we don't want to go over it, because we still want to tear down buildings.
Well,
Let's go ahead and you and Laura sit down sometime next week and come up with an idea and present it to us at our next meeting on how we can fund this program to keep this going throughout the city.
Well, we've already
Okay.
saved money on tear downs that the landowner did themselves. So there's already money there that we want to save.
Not necessarily.
That's going towards the
Because
other tear down.
that money that you say we've saved tearing down is now moved to the next tear down. The one up there on Black Mesa isn't even done. That one there, we can't even say
Okay,
we saved
you're telling me
anything.
that the old waste treatment plant that we paid for and.
We have gotten no money back on.
Okay,
We've gotten
that's
no
the money
money.
I'm talking
Well,
about.
we ain't got the money. That's what I'm saying. We've got no money
Okay,
back on that.
why? Because I thought that money came from our budget, not from the federal government.
No, not the budget to pay for it. Yeah, we paid for it.
Yeah.
And we were supposed to be reimbursed by the federal government, and it hasn't happened yet.
But
Is that correct, Tammy?
We
Hang
were
on.
supposed to be.
There's your finance director. Has the federal government reimbursed us any money for the wastewater treatment plant? No. I'm telling you.
We didn't do it to get reimbursed.
No, we tore it down with our money, expecting to be reimbursed. We're not being reimbursed.
We didn't expect to get reimbursed.
Ruben,
This
that's
was
why
just
we
money
did
that
it.
we wanted it done, period.
Okay,
It
so we
wasn't
spent
in
that
there.
money, so where do you figure we got money saved?
Well, I'm talking about the money that wasn't for the hazardous material, the asbestos that they didn't find. The $100,000 that we had put in there.
It
that
was,
we didn't have to pay.
remediation of
That we didn't have to
it was
pay.
remediation of the sludge and everything else, Ruben, we paid that money.
No, we didn't
Tammy.
pay for the asbestos that wasn't there.
There is your finance director, Ruben, she'll tell you that we paid that money. There's no money there, dude.
But there was no asbestos.
Show it,
in
show me
that
the money,
report.
Ruben, I'm telling you, she's sitting right there, that's not there, dude. We spent the money on removing that place,
But
sludge
there was
removal,
no
everything
asbestos.
else.
There's your code enforcer right there. Where was the asbestos?
Where's the
in
money,
that building?
Ruben?
I don't, that's what I'm
We
asking.
spent it on sludge removal and everything else that had to be done out there.
I'll check on it.
We had already bid on it. It
Ruben,
doesn't, we didn't have
we
to, we didn't have no
spent
change
the
orders
money.
out there.
Really?
Really?
Really, but the money was spent, Ruben.
Right.
There's
Where
no,
is it? On what?
on the sludge removal, the
The
tear down
money
of the
that you
building.
say we spent was supposed to be on asbestos abatement. There was
Ruben,
no
it was on
asbestos.
the building. We had used it to tear down all the crap that was out there, to remove the sludge and everything else. It may have been slotted for asbestos removal, but it was used on everything else out there.
Marty, was there
Mr.
any
Mayor, I
asbestos out
recommend
there?
that our city manager get with.
Was there any asbestos
Tammy.
out there?
Sit with Tammy tomorrow, Ruben, and get the numbers,
There's your code
dude.
enforcer right there.
It doesn't
Was there
matter.
any asbestos out there?
To my knowledge, there was no asbestos.
There was no asbestos.
And where was the money allotted, $100,000? Where? Where? Show me,
I'm
Ruben.
asking the question, where is that money?
Show me where we allotted it for asbestos removal.
Okay, stop it.
Okay,
Show it for me.
let's ask our
There
manager.
is none, dude.
Let's find out, let's ask
There
our
is
manager.
none, Ruben.
Let's ask our manager to find out.
I will.
There is none. You've been saying that for 2 years now since we
No,
tore it
I
down.
haven't.
And yes, you have. To me, you have,
I
Ruben.
question now.
You have been asking me
here.
for 2 years, Mayor, and I've been telling you, Ruben, that we spent the money on tearing it down. All the money was spent on that tearing it
Let's
down.
just have our manager find
I'll
out.
check.
Next on it. Next. Go ahead.
To continue on this, what we've done is we've done 3 alternative
crap.
or additional sites, to propose sites for the dumpster location. And we've broken it down per parcel, with cost per parcel. And so we've got the next area would be section, proposal location number 2 would be Jelso Sacklares in the Granada Heights subdivision, of which we figure cost estimated to impact 90 individual parcels at a cost of about $760 plus or minus. The third would be Seville Heights subdivision. We figure we'd impact about 45 parcels at a cost of about $380 plus or minus. And the last will be 135 parcels at about $1,140. And we've got the maps indicating the areas that we're going to impact. So
We'll come up with something.
And how often? Every couple of weeks or?
Once this thing gets going, I think now's a good time to do it, during sort of the fall, and so, yeah, it would be a couple of weeks, something like that. We were, Paul and I were discussing, Mr. Page and I were discussing, we're thinking during the weekdays, like Monday through Friday would be best. This way it could be kind of supervised by code enforcement, and through the weekend, it could get kind of cluttered up with stuff, and so there wouldn't be anybody really supervising it. So during the week, we could monitor it and stuff, so.
Try to do it during the dry times because everything will be heavier when it's wet
True.
and harder.
True.
Next.
The third that we got is a pawnbroker's license, which the gentleman that was requesting it failed to produce the documents that were necessary for approval, so we're gonna have to reschedule that. So we'll table that for that. Is our
Entertain a
recommendation.
motion.
What is that?
The pawnbroker, there's a gentleman that's anticipating opening up a pawnbroker shop on Santa Fe Avenue, and there's just a bunch of criteria, a bunch of requirements, submittals that he needs to bring to us to show that he's approved for that. He's failed to produce all of those, so I'd like to table that, give him the opportunity to go ahead and produce that stuff, and then we'll address it the next hearing.
Entertain a motion. Table it.
One more thing was for Marty, which I'd like Laura to find out also. We didn't pay anything for Ron 20s because they paid themselves. But yet supposedly we paid that money out, okay? Find out about Ron
Nobody said we
20s.
paid any money out to the 20s.
That was part of our bid, the Ron 20s.
Nobody paid out any money to the 20s. Ruben.
I don't
Tammy,
think
hang
they
on,
are.
Ruben, just hang on. Tammy, give Ruben the same thing that you gave me on our account of tear downs, what we make and where we spend it out. The same thing you gave me and show it to him.
Yeah, because Roy Twain.
I'm telling you, Ruben, we didn't pay nothing for it.
Okay, well, I want to see what.
Okay,
we had
Tammy's
paid for.
gonna.
Tammy's gonna give you the
That's what I want.
information,
That's all I
top
want.
to bottom, like she did for me when you asked me. And I told you.
You didn't
Now,
tell me
go
nothing.
ahead.
You said the
We
feds,
need
we're still waiting
we
for the
need to
feds to
table
get it
this.
back.
We need to
Okay,
table
I make a
this.
motion to table Part C, the pawnbroker.
Thank you.
I'll make that second.
Counselor Quintana.
Yes.
Counselor Sandoval.
Yes.
Counselor Dickens.
Yes.
Counselor Lewis.
Yes.
Okay, the next one
Did
is
we
Main
approve
Street.
B? I don't think we approved B, did we?
B was just a dumpster
That was
piece.
just
We're
dumpster
gonna
piece.
come up with a way to pay for it, Mike.
Okay, but
We
it says
haven't-
here it's an action item.
No, it's just dumpster pieces. It's just recommendations, okay, planning and zoning recommendations, it's not action.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Main Street wants to be tabled, right? I don't entertain a motion to table number 11.
We'll make a motion to go on table Oktoberfest Main Street, number 11.
Counselor Quintana?
Yes.
Counselor Sandoval?
Yes.
Counselor Dickens?
Yes.
Counselor Lewis?
Yes.
Mr. Reedy?
Thank you for allowing me some time to come visit with you. Apologize, my voice is just a tad bit on the weary side. I don't know if I got allergies or maybe a beginning fall cold or something, but thank you. What I had called and asked to make a short presentation on where we are with the forest plan revision. And afterwards, if you all have questions about it, I'm more than happy to answer any of those questions that the mayor or the council might have. So you might ask, well, why are we talking about revising the forest plan? And the forest plan is the guiding document for the national forest, for the Sept National Forest. And about every 15 years or so, we look at updating that. It's sort of like the city master plan that a municipality would have. So we do that about on an every 15-year basis. We're a little bit tardy on this. We're at about 28 years. So we started this process a couple of years ago, and right now, we've already done the assessment phase in the forest plan, and we've done the needs for change. We've had really, really good participation at our meetings from the public. The last meeting that we had was at the Northwest New Mexico Visitor Center, and we had close to probably 300 people there that showed up to visit with us, provided us a lot of information on the forest plan revision process. Now, I know there's been a lot of information out about the forest plan revision and what it is and what it isn't, and I just wanted to give you an update. We're going to be having a meeting on Thursday night at the High School Performing Arts Auditorium, and during that meeting we're going to be talking about the inventory and evaluation of areas that are potentially suitable for wilderness designation. So, well, what does that mean? So what that means is, as through our forest planning process, we have, by law, we have to look at what areas may be suitable for wilderness designation. So every time a forest goes through this process, they have to go through this inventory and evaluation process to evaluate things. So you might ask yourself, well, what is wilderness? Because that's
We know what
probably
it is, Matt.
the question is. So I just want to read to you just a short little snippet here of what wilderness is. Wilderness is where the earth and its community of life are untrammeled by man, is where man himself is a visitor who does not remain. It is an area of undeveloped federal land retaining its primeval character and influence, without permanent achievements or human habitation, which is protected and managed to preserve its natural conditions, which generally appears to be primarily affected by the forces of nature. And on page 2, there's a definition of what wilderness is. So people may ask what that is. So the next step in this is the inventory part of our process. And we're going to be going and we're going to be looking at, are there any areas that are on the Mount Taylor Ranger District or the other ranger districts of the Sept National Forest that may lend itself to what an area would be for wilderness. So using that definition, and then we go into an inventory phase. So Thursday evening at our meeting that we're going to have, we're going to be presenting some draft maps for people, for them to ask them, this is what our very first step in inventory is. Now it's up to you to provide us feedback on, do these areas have those characteristics that I just described in there? Are they left untrammeled by man?
To wilderness areas. If you leave the roads alone, then their man is in there, and it's still not a wilderness area. Okay, we're aware of what you're doing. That's why we passed a resolution trying to stop what you're doing, Matt. Okay. On that note, Michael, you got anything for Matt?
Yeah, sure do.
Go ahead.
First of all, I just want to know why is the Forest Service so difficult to work with?
I don't think I'm difficult to work with.
I believe you guys are very difficult to work with. My second, I think this is absurd. I mean, this is dumb. I've spent 20 years that I've been in grants. I hunt, I've guided on that mountain, and I don't think it's that idea is just, and I just can't believe you guys are even proposing this.
Well, this is all part of the process. Councilman Quintana, is we're engaging the public, we're asking people like you that have local knowledge about the area to say, what do you know about Mount Taylor? What do you know about the Zunies that we can start off with?
Yeah.
And the last time we did, excuse me, can I finish?
I understand.
I'd like to respond.
I'd
like to respond to Cody. Please, would you allow me to do that?
Go ahead.
I'd like to answer that. Please. So we're going through that process right now, and we're asking for people, just like yourself, that know the mountain, that have been there for 20 years, to say, what do you know about the land? What can you tell us about it? That's our starting point. That's where we're starting. We're not. It's not a preconceived type of thing.
But you're proposing something that, right now, you go up to that mountain and there's roads closed. We have no access to nothing anymore. You know, you wonder why people are getting off the road, because they basically can't get to the locations that they've been able to get to many years before. Mobility impaired, that bothers me, because you know, you get somebody up there that's mobility impaired that can't get where they need to go to retrieve game, to do what they need to do, basically, and you're just cutting off access to them, to the more prestige areas of Mount Taylor that we like to go to.
And that's exactly why.
And that's the entire mountain. To be honest with you, that's the entire mountain. You know, because we border Acoma, we border a lot of private property, and you doing this, to me, it's just, I don't think it's a positive idea for anybody.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Is this part of the conservation effort that they're trying to get that 5,000-mile stretch corridor from Mexico to Alaska?
No.
For wildlife?
This all has to do about forest plan revision.
No, but that is part of the big,
about taking
the big
the public
plan,
lands
the
away
big picture.
from
The
the
big
public.
picture. Is that part of the big picture of conservation?
No, this is all about the forest plan revision in developing a management plan for the Cibolo National Forest. And part of that planning process, by law, Congress has told us you have to follow these steps, you have to follow these processes, you need to engage the public and ask their opinions. So,
well, there's a bigger effort than what you're going for right now, and that's that 5,000-mile stretch from Mexico to Alaska.
Councilor Dickens?
Well, I've lived here all my life. I've hunted since I was a little boy, and there isn't too much area on Mount Taylor or the Zunies that my family haven't walked on, so if you're looking for areas that nobody's ever been to, that'd be kind of hard to find. And I think this is all part of you guys' master plan. You've already closed the roads. There's like one road into this proposed wilderness area, and you gotta come back out the same area. So you don't believe that any of us are gonna be concerned about an area that's isolated now because of all the road closures. And Thursday, I'm gonna read a document that's nearly 2 years old, that you guys have already been making behind-the-scene deals with special interest groups to close Mount Taylor and do a wilderness area. And on that topic, I wrote your boss and Champ Green that you guys are doing these closed-door sessions, you know, with all the special interest groups, including the Native Americans, and your open sessions is with us. You know, it's against the law to have these closed-door sessions. The state already did that on the cultural thing on Mount Taylor, and now you guys are trying to do the same thing. And I believe it doesn't matter if 10,000 of us show up Thursday night at Grants High School. You guys already made up your mind to make that a wilderness area. Just the same as you. I attended all the meetings on the road closures. I attended the meetings on the spotted owl. You asked for our input. All of us were against the road closures. We were against the spotted owl, which isn't even native to New Mexico. It's a Mexican spotted owl. And you guys still closed the roads. You still prevented us from cutting oak because that owl might get one little mouse in that oak tree. I couldn't believe that comment. You know, you're going to cut the oak tree that's going to kill this owl.
Mr. Lewis?
Mr. Reedy, could you explain why there's a gate blocking, closing La Mosca, the road to La Mosca? Is that the one where the gate is now?
The one.
Brand new gate, you just put in, Matt?
453?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't install.
Who did?
Les Gaines did.
Les Gaines installed that bridge.
Les Gaines installed that, he installed that gate for us. And the reason why, Les
You
Gaines-
wanted it there, and you put it there.
The
Les
reason-
just installed it.
Les just installed it with the quad committee.
Okay.
And the reason why we put that gate in there is because what happened last year. Last year, one of the lease folks that have a valid lease up at the La Mosca communication site, they ran out of propane in their communication site. So when the power goes down, they have propane generators that power, so they still have communication on those sites. Well, unbeknownst to us, they didn't ask us, they took a piece of heavy equipment up there and they bulldozed the snow off that road. And they bulldozed the snow off the road
For the quad.
before the quad happened.
Okay.
And once you take the snow off the road, there's no way magically you're going to put it back. Well, that pretty heavily impacted them during their race course events. So I wrote them a letter of non-compliance. And I said, you need to cure this. You need to fix some things that you did on that road. And one of them is that when they plowed the snow off, they also took some of the dirt off with it. So they had to regrade the road up there. But one of the things that we're doing is we did install a gate on that road, so when the quad is going to be held, so we can swing that gate shut and protect that race course prism that they use for the road. That was a really big impact to the quad. So to try to prevent that in the future, we're going to still allow people, those lease permit holders, if they want to go around the other side of the mountain to get up to La Mosca, they can certainly do that. But if they want to come up that way, they're going to have to get permission to do that, because I don't want another outcome of somebody going up there with a bulldozer, blading that road open, and negative impacting an economic activity that supports the city of Grants.
Okay, my turn. Go ahead, Mike.
So as a citizen, can I get a key to that gate and open it? Go through there?
The gate's open right now.
I know, but what if it's locked and I go up there and it's locked? Is there a way for me to get through there?
You can go around it with a snowmobile. If you've got a snowcat and you want to come up there in a snowcat, you can come up and we can open it up for you. I mean, I'm talking a big snowcat. You know what I mean? One of those big ones that with the tracks. Yeah.
Well, part of the misinformation that's going around is that you guys installed it and you're trying to keep people out of there.
Trying to protect it. Trying to protect that race course and the roadway there for the quad. Because I don't want to see another impact. And it was that was a big thing for the quad. I mean it was really sad. And I was very disappointed in those people that did it. And I told them, I said, I've got a cure that you have to cure for me, but there's some people in Grants that have spent a lot of time and effort supporting the Winter Quadrathlon, that you're gonna have to rebuild that, because that was just wrong. They were wrong doing
Okay,
it.
my turn. Man, I'm like, Eddie, I've been here my whole life. I've been to all your meetings, and I've watched you guys lie to us time and time again. The L-Bar is the perfect first example, 28 years ago. Okay? You guys came in there, you took away public land, and you gave it to a private entity. Okay? You gave them all the prime country to the east. And the main thing that pisses me off about that is 9 months later, they sold it for millions of dollars. So you gave away public land and let somebody make millions of dollars off of it. Since then, it's been sold 8 times, and every time it's been sold for millions of dollars. And we've made nothing off of it. Okay, but the worst part about that is after you gave away all that land to the L-Bar, you closed all the roads that go to the north and the west. And that's one of the places that you guys want to designate as a wilderness area now. After you guys close the roads. If you leave the roads alone, Matt, then you can't designate them as a wilderness area. That's why you have your management plan. So you come in and you guys, oh, let's close these roads, close these roads. Now 28 years later, we're sitting here and you're telling us wilderness areas because there's no roads in there, but they're not there because you guys went and closed it. Okay? I'm against one more single acre of wilderness land anywhere in this state. We already have almost 500,000 of travel restricted acres right here in Cibola County and the Zunis and Mount Taylor. Okay? And we're not just talking about these. We're talking about Socorro, Mountain Air, Magdalena, all of them, because I hunt all of them. Okay? Leave them alone. Leave them. We're so sick and tired of you guys lying to us, Matt. Oh, your input matters to us. We told you about the L-Bar. You guys did exactly what you wanted to do. We've told you about closing roads in your last one. And what did you guys do? You go close the roads anyway. No matter what we say. So don't tell us that our opinion matters. It matters now. And the only reason that you're standing here tonight is because this council unanimously passed a resolution condemning what you're doing. That's the only reason you're here tonight. That's the only reason that you were at the county. What surprises me is that Socorro, Magdalena, and Mountain Air and their governments haven't done what we've done. Okay? Believe it or not, Matt, I believe that the reason our forefathers allowed us all to own guns is because entities like yours in the government that do not respect the people's wishes. Okay? You say our opinions matter. We know that they don't. The perfect example is the ditch north of Roosevelt. I worked with you for how many years? But the minute you didn't get your way, you broke off negotiations. You made us spend $180,000 extra to come up with 3 plans instead of 1 that would work. Why, Matt? Why? Why won't you help this community? Why won't you help the people of this town? Simple question. You have no answer for.
Oh, I would like to respond.
Respond to that, because it sure is funny that the minute I got Senator Heinrich involved and got you removed from this process, it's all changed. And the BLM is doing exactly what we want them to do. They're going with our plan. They're changing the letters to make our choice, the one that Ruben and Michael were sitting here, as the first choice. The one that's only going to cost us about $200,000 instead of $800,000 that you wanted to charge us. And the thing that just kills me about that is, as a government entity here, we have to take the lowest bid and the lowest job. But you can come as a Forest Service that's just administrating that land. You don't even own it. The public owns it. And you're just administrating it for the BLM, and you're demanding that we spend $750,000 to build a levee and a dike and all this crap around it, when all we want to do is make it flow like the rest of town, Matt. That makes no sense to anybody in this town. It's not out on Mount Taylor. It's not in the Zunis. It's right in the middle of our town. And you say you're not hard to work with? Once we got you removed, Matt, now things are moving. We should have a shovel in that ditch probably by January. Now, to me, from June to January, that's 6 months. But I've been fighting you for 8 years since you got here and took over for Chuck Hagerton, and again before that. So you've got our response. You've got this town's response, okay? We represent 9,000 people. We want you to leave our land alone. We want you to leave it alone. We don't want no more wilderness areas. Leave it alone, Matt. That's what we're telling you. That's what this entire county is telling you, Matt. That's why every entity, Milan, Cibola County, and Grants, passed resolutions against what you're trying to do. So you say our opinions matter, but you want our input, you've got it. You've got resolutions. So no more. Stop what you're doing.
Go away. You know, I agree with you on, there are very few areas on Mount Taylor and the Zunies that you can't see the Hanford of man. There's very few
Why do you want to
places.
cut off more?
It's not what I want.
You just told us that.
I,
That's what your plan is. Your plan is to take that
And
that
Jason,
privilege that we have away from our people.
what I'm saying
No,
is,
no, what you're saying is, Matt, is that you're wanting to take away things that we enjoy. We love to go up there and go anywhere that we possibly can. Mount Taylor's not that big. And you want to throw that at us? Really? That doesn't jive with me.
I guess what I want to
you get your chance on the 14th,
is-
okay, or on the 11th, 2 days
What I
wet.
want to express is that this is the first step in the inventory process. This is where people get to voice their opinion on this.
Why don't you go take inventory in Mexico?
Matt, here's what we're telling you. And the whole county is telling you. Every government entity in this county is telling you, leave them 4 districts alone. No more wilderness areas. What don't you understand? That's why we all passed resolutions. Period, Matt. Leave it alone. Tell your bosses, tell everybody back east, all these people, the Forest Guardians, the Sierra Club, that have jobs 40 hours a week making great money, to do nothing except advocate for closing our public lands from us. Okay? Let's think about the elderly that can't walk into those wilderness areas. They say, oh, you can take a wheelchair in there. Sure you can if it's designed by Chrysler Jeep. Okay? Other than that, you ain't going to take a wheelchair in there, Matt. Feed that line of crap to somebody else. The people of Grants, New Mexico have been lied to by your entity for 40 years. We're up to here with it. That's why we passed our resolutions, Matt. That's why we're trying to stop you now.
I appreciate your time. I appreciate the opportunity to give you some more information about what we're going to be presenting on Thursday. I would invite you
We'll all be there
to
Thursday,
be there. And have a good evening. Thank you.
You
very
too.
much. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. Last one. Marketing director, and that's on you, Mike. Oh, you know it goes deeper than he's here because his boss is saying it, guys. Make no doubt about it. It's above his pay grade.
Okay, a few months ago, we were discussing the possibility of bringing in a marketing director, a full-time marketing director for the city of Grants. We, as a council, agreed that this was something that the city was ready for and that we needed. In fact, we funded a full-time position for a marketing director in our town. This person would maintain our new website that we're building right now, our calendar of events there. Their daily activities would include verifying that any upcoming community event is on schedule and compliant with our local ordinances, that they would develop and maintain an advertising schedule for upcoming events, that they would post upcoming events on our new website, Facebook, and True New Mexico. They would monitor and maintain brochure and table tent displays at local hotels and restaurants. And they would photograph or video any ongoing event to build and maintain an archive for future promotions. And of course, they would, some of the things we talked about earlier, signage in this town, if you can find any, is either old or decrepit or points you in the wrong direction. Most of that needs to be upgraded and updated. Who's doing that, you know? And this is one of the things that a marketing director would do. So what we're trying to decide is whether we should put this out ask for applications for a full-time person, or try to break it down into a couple of contracts with citizens from our community here that would take on some of these responsibilities. We thought we would divide it into a couple of different responsibilities. One would be website maintenance, would be 3 to 4 hours a day, and then the other one would be a video production. We anticipate about 50 videos that will be on our new website, and so I'll open it up for some discussion or comments.
Have we decided on pay range, what we're looking at here, Mike?
What we budgeted was 45,000 a year. That would be a full-time person. And as you know, we discussed maybe contracting to a couple of different people for $1,000 a month to do a couple of these things where the city wouldn't be taking on a full-time employee, which is what we were trying to avoid by contracting with someone to do these
To avoid paying benefits.
responsibilities. Right. And if we had two that were at $12,000, that's $24,000, and with nothing else that the city would have to fund.
And they would be working with entities like economic development and chamber of commerce.
Chamber of Commerce.
Part of the concept is that we have several organizations marketing our community, and we want to combine that effort into one position or one concerted effort rather than Main Street doing their marketing, the chamber doing theirs, us doing ours, that we need to be all working together, and one person would be doing all of that for the entire city.
Where's this person going to be located at?
That would be decided by probably.
By her boss, or his boss. You know, guys, I mean, I'm good with whatever you want to do with this, okay? I don't know, I think we ought to private contract it out instead of getting an employee, okay? Put it out to bid and see what we get, okay? I said we put it out to bid, put out a contract to bid.
So would we pay a contractor the same sum, lower sum?
We put it out to bid, and the contractor will come to us and say, I can do it for 20,000, I can do it for 30,000, I can do it, and we give it to the lowest bidder, just like we do anything else.
Well, you gotta establish how many hours you want to work also. You just said, you know.
He just did.
2 hours, right?
And that's what I
Yeah,
said.
we
Put it
had,
out
we
to a private
developed
contractor.
we did develop.
Yeah,
a
Eileen, come on up,
contract.
talk to us. This one's not a special meeting on the 11th, this one's tonight.
I agree with the thought of you getting a marketing director to bring all of the entities together to get on the same page. I think what you need to think about is, are you marketing grants or are you marketing the county as a whole? Because a lot of the things that you're marketing and selling are not particularly here in grants, but they're in and around the county. So there might be and I'm not speaking on behalf of the county or making a suggestion, but my opinion is that there may be some participation from the county as well in this position, so that the entire county is marketed, and give some consideration to that. Yes, Grants is the focal point, the largest community in Cibola County, and the county seat. And, you know, and that is the focal point of a lot of the activity that happens. But a lot of the attractions and stuff are within the county. And so I think you need to think about that as well. When people are looking to travel, they're not looking to travel necessarily to the city of Grants. They're traveling to a region or an area, you know, the land of fire and ice, or whatever branding campaign you come up with, not necessarily Grants Milan. So, and I'm all about marketing Grants and Milan and all of the communities in Cibola County, but we need to think about the county as a whole, with Grants and Milan possibly taking the lead in that.
And on that note, guys, I've said it before, we're paying the chamber, we're paying Main Street, we're paying the Economic Development Board, and all three of those entities are to be marketing, right?
I'm marketing the county.
How do we bring them all together to put them under, I mean, do we really need to pay somebody $45,000 to do what we're already paying 3 people to do, 3 different entities to do? I don't know. I personally don't think we need to pay somebody. We just need to get those 3 entities to come together and to work together more closely.
And that's exactly, excuse me, Mayor, that's exactly what we've been trying to do. It's just defining,
So let's try that. Let's put it out for a contract.
And maybe having somebody contracted to do the things that those three entities aren't doing. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I'm just saying that
This is out
we need to
there,
look
ask
at
her.
the whole big picture instead of just focusing on one community. We need to focus on everything that is in our county.
Yeah, we did. We identified 33 places.
Right, I saw your video and it was great. And so how many of those 33 places are in grants?
Very few.
Well, and as the city of Grants, what we're thinking is even if we're promoting El Moro, people coming to visit El Moro are probably gonna stop here and stay in our hotels. They're gonna
Absolutely.
eat in our restaurants, they're gonna buy gas. So that was a question brought to me, well, can we as the city promote Sky City or
Sure.
our attractions around the area? But it benefits us as a community when people come to this region. You know, most likely they are gonna stop here and do something, and they may do other things within the city.
It is, and that's why I'm saying we need to be cognizant of including everything in the county to help, to promote that, and make grants the focal point of them, you know, staying here, eating here, spending their money here. It could be here, it could be other communities as well, but not just, we need to consider the whole county.
Tessa, I have a question for Tessa.
Pardon me?
A county extends to Cebolleta, and you have to go through Sky City to get to Cebolleta, so that's another area.
I have a question for Tessa for the Chamber of Commerce. First of all, I want to congratulate you on your new position. My question is I'd like to see some different things that the Chamber to promote our community. Any ideas that you kind of come up with? Anything that we're working on presently?
Presently, we're working on a website that's upgrading the Chamber of Commerce website, but that will encompass all of the
Sure.
community businesses as well. So, and on my end, I'm visiting the businesses with Bianca and Elaine to just to get their feedback as to what we can do. And I think if we're all on the same page, us three entities that we do get the money from, Mayor, that we should be doing that anyway. And if you want to give that $43,000 to us and we come up with a plan and show you, then we can do that. I don't know why you need an outside person when you already have three individuals who could do it for you anyway.
That's what I was just saying.
Yeah, my argument is that we don't, within this town, have the qualifications to do it. We don't have qualified people to do the kinds of things that who in this room can edit video? I mean on a professional level, not on an iPhone. You know, that's a big, we're spending $10,000 on a new website. It's going to be a great website. We've seen it. And and we saw surveys before we started this project with the website where 65% of all people traveling on Route 60 on I-40 are making travel plans on their iPhones. So this interaction with the website is going to be really critical, and we're not having any of that now. They're seeing washed out and half-trashed billboards that don't deliver the message that we want to deliver to these people.
And we, Councilor Lewis, we agree with that. The three entities, we agree that all of those things need to be addressed, and we would like nothing more than for them to be updated and integrated and complementary of each other and all on the same page. We're just saying that is this person, we're already talking about all of those things, so we want to do those things with you as well. Maybe those are some of the things that can be contracted out with the input of the entities that are working together to have a unified branding campaign to push everything forward.
If I heard correctly, in your introduction, maybe there, I read it somewhere, you have a marketing degree already.
Yes, I have a marketing degree, but I don't know how to edit film.
But we can teach you that.
These are skills that.
And that's something that can be contracted, right?
Right. Yeah. These are skills that very few people have. Just because you get a degree in marketing from a college doesn't mean you know how to edit film.
Right.
Well,
and
the initial concept was that the individual would be located at the chamber or Main Street or somewhere and working with those organizations, and that would develop the partnership even more.
Right. And I think that we're all new to the positions that we're in. Our goal is to work together.
Everybody.
We are all moving in one direction.
Everybody.
Manny?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'd like to address you guys so you'll know what's going on. Since you don't make a lot of the meetings that we're working with, the three entities, we have a great guy here that can edit anything here, anything you want. He's an award-winning editor, so he can do it. We have somebody here. Okay, the other thing is, we have an organization with Main Street and Eileen and Tessa here working together that about 5 months ago, I, through Main Street, I'm on the organization committee, I'm the chairperson. I've been working on this, on organizing all the entities, even with Laura's help. So we do have something in plan. Okay, the other thing that I want to bring up, Tammy Legler. She is an awesome person to work with Tessa. We have working people here that's been running the city with you guys and other councilmen. So to bring somebody from the outside, when we have an award editor here, we have Chamber of Commerce that has a marketing, Eileen, economics. What do you guys want?
Well, as far as
You want one more click up?
we have to follow rules.
We do.
Okay, and if we're going to put out for professional services, it's got to be degreed, which is an architect, an engineer, a lawyer, something along those lines. Okay, we can't just say we're going to give it to Tammy. We can't just say we're going to give it to Bianca. We can't do that. We have to, and we're not going to do that.
Right.
Okay, because I'm not going to have Channel 7 over here saying, hey, Mayor, you did this and you just gave it away. We will put it out to bid, and whoever takes the bid, that's who we'll give it to.
No, you know what, I appreciate your outlook. It's a wide outlook. But what I want to let you guys know is we do
You're
have
already
something
working
in
on it.
plan. We do have something in plan.
Okay.
Okay, guys? Thank you.
If I could just reiterate, Jimmy Jones has a degree in engineering. He's been a broadcast engineer. He's also a videographer, an award-winning videographer. So there are things that we do as a marketing agency that we can do to help the city of Grants. And we have been doing some stuff as far as marketing and tourism for over 25 years. So there are things that can be done with your encouragement. We would like to help and promote our city in a way that is progressive. So that's my input, and I thank you for the time.
One of the other things we hear from all these groups is that their hands are full, their plate is full, that they can't do these things because they don't have the time.
Here's what I want to do with this, guys. I want each one of you to get with Bianca, with Tessa, with Eileen, and see what their ideas are. Fill them out, each one of you. If it's a contract they need, whatever they need to make this thing happen. I want this on the agenda in 2 weeks, and at that point, we will make a decision on what we're gonna do here. Okay, so whatever you guys gotta do to make appointments, because it's your decision, I'm only gonna break the tie. And I know where I'm at on this, okay? We're getting it done. We need to market our town better than we are. So I want each one of you guys to meet with those 3 individuals there and see where we're gonna go with this. And we'll make a decision on this next week, whether we're gonna contract it, whether we're gonna hire, whatever we're gonna do. At our next meeting, we'll make a decision. Okay? Everybody's good with that?
Sounds good.
Well,
Go ahead,
I'll add more to that. We need Laura involved.
Yes.
I would rather her.
Yeah, Laura scheduled meetings and she'll sit down with you.
I would rather she
Yes.
talk, you tell me.
Okay?
Yeah, why don't we do that? And that way we can.
Yeah.
Does that
There
sound
you
good?
go. Unless you guys want to meet with them. Laura's gonna set up the meetings.
I already kind of.
Okay.
I'd like to see that move forward.
On that note, comments from the counselor. Counselor Lewis.
Paul.
Hang on, what you got? What you got? What you got? Go ahead. Come on up, Les.
You know,
Introduce yourself for the record. Tell us what you got.
you know, my name is Les Danes. I had no prior notice to my name being mentioned in the presentation by Matt Reed. So I was a little alarmed and a little concerned that maybe the whole story was not said. He did mention about the snow being removed at the quad. We had asked the Forest Service to repeatedly come up with a solution as the quad committee to eliminate people from blading the road. They didn't ever come up with a real idea, we always put up a little wooden barrier that goes up about January 15th and then comes down, right after the quad. So we asked if there was any other avenues that we could use. So he said, we have this old gate that came from the Zuni's. If you guys want it, you can have it. But it was too narrow, so of course the quad committee, we made it a little longer and wider. It just happened to be kind of like really bad timing or really good timing, depends on your perspective, okay? So we put up the gate with all the quad volunteers. It was not Les Gaines. If you look at me, I'm really not that strong, okay? So it was an entire group. It was an agreement between the quad committee and the Forest Service. But you were kind of misled just a little bit that I did it all. And I took defense to that, okay?
As well you should, Les.
So I know I'm out of order, but I was just sitting back there boiling the entire time because it was kind of misconstrued that I put that gate up to lock down the mountain. I'm probably one of the most active people to keep that mountain open.
Matt, and that's the thing, coming out of Matt's mouth, it's just another misleading statement, along with the many more that this town and this community has dealt with over the last 50 years with dealing with that entity. And it's like I said, I honestly believe that's why our forefathers gave us the right to bear arms, because there's entities like that that are eventually going to have to be dealt with, guys.
Thank you. I'm sorry to interrupt the process, but
No problem.
Thank you.
Mike, go ahead now.
Paul, I don't know if you were involved in this, but the fix over there at the sidewalk as you cross from Riverwalk Park across the street there, that concrete fix.
I saw him working on that. I
don't know how that got done, but thank you.
Well, I asked Wayne about that. I said, what's the concrete work going on around over there? But it's cuts that they made when OMI goes in. They had a water leak over there, so that's how that got that's how it got fixed. So it wasn't my doing.
Yeah, it needed it. It's great. Thank you.
Mr. Vickers.
Just want to thank Wayne for fixing that leak over on Washington and the nice paving job you did. And I want to encourage everybody here and the whole county to be at Grants High School on the 11th.
Councilor Sandoval.
We noticed when we went to this municipal meeting, Laura brought it up that the grants don't have a banner over there. We need to see if we can get a banner on.
Marketing director.
Well, you have to go to the meeting, no, you didn't have a banner. So Laura noticed, no one else ever noticed, I guess, that's what we're.
Yeah, so we'll get one for us.
Anything else?
I don't have anything. I've got to get to a volleyball game my daughter's playing in right now.
Yeah, I got a couple things. Well, I got 3 things for you, all for your road department. Okay. Corner of Betty and Zuni, haven't fixed that one. 5th Street bus stop for the kids, we did a repair in there where we put in a new sewer line there through San Jose, right by that bus stop. There's some major potholes there, and the kids are hitting their heads at the top of the bus when the bus pulls in there.
On 5th Street?
Yeah, right where you go under the bridge.
Oh, we go to the bridge.
Yeah, where pick up on San Jose, where they pick up the kids for the bus. There's some major potholes in there, and then we need to extend the crusher pines or whatever we put there to come down around that new manhole we put, because water's collecting there, and when you have more than one bus, kids are unloading into that water hole.
On 5th Street? On
Yeah,
the same place?
it's all that, just that. It's a triangle where the buses pull off of the street, right there on the corner, underneath the bridge. And the last one, Valencia Drive, also in San Jose Drive. There's such a hole that we're gonna end up with a head-on collision there because cars going one way are coming into the opposite lane. Okay, so check on that one. On the last 2 things I've got to comment on, I had the golf course down, but we already took care of that one. Donald, there was 2 letters to the editor in the Beacon. One of them addressed the Animal Care Center and me cutting money, okay? For the public's knowledge, please hear me on this. The city of Grants averages spending $1,000 a month on spade and neuter programs, $12,000 a year. This money they say that I cut, I didn't cut it. What was happening is dogs were getting run over by cars, stray dogs, stray cats, whatever, and they were taking these dogs to the vet and spending $1,300, $1,400, $1,800 to fix a dog that had been run over by a car. or a cat that had been hit by a car that's nobody's gonna adopt anyway. That's what I stopped, guys. I've not stopped the spade neuter program, none of that. And I mean, these people say that I have no idea the unconditional love that dogs give and whatnot. If you look up here, my dog is with me now and goes everywhere I go. So I do know, okay? And it just makes me, it upsets me when people say mean things if they have no idea what they're talking about. The second thing I got is for you, Greg. You had a letter to the editor in the paper that commended 2 of your officers. Let them know that we deeply appreciate that because we need all the positive feedback on our police department we can get. We've had a bunch of negativity lately, and every time those guys do a good job, we need to acknowledge them. So tell them thank you from me and this council.
I will, sir.
On that note, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Hang on.